New York City Police Department, how may we assist you?
Hello, may I speak to the person in charge of the Rainwater killer case?
Yes, ma'am. 1 second, please. Hello, this is Frank Allen.
I need to talk to you about my next door neighbor.
Okay, can I get your name and number in case we disconnect?
My name is Terry Yakley. I'm 76 years old and I live by myself. I heard some things the other night that I saw on the news that a man had been killed. My number is 479-867-5309.
Yes, ma'am. I'm afraid so. He hasn't been the first. Can you make it to the office today for an interview? I'd love to chat with you.
Yes, I can come. I will need the address.
1 Police Plaza. That's located on Park Row. I'll be here all day.
Okay, I will see you soon.
Sounds good, Miss Yakley. This was the first lead on the case, and to say I was optimistic was an understatement. I visited with Miss Yakley, who lived in Manhattan. Apparently, she had heard strange noises the night of the murder coming from her neighbor's home, and saw shadows in a back bedroom, and claimed she saw lights being turned on and off throughout the night in this particular room. She thinks that her neighbor's name is Patrick. She was so scared that she watched the room all night through her kitchen window. She informed me that she doesn't like this neighbor and that he's given her bad vibes since moving in a month ago. She expressed how this man would come and go at strange hours of the night. He would act oddly in his front yard and wouldn't talk to her or any of the other neighbors. Now, obviously, none of this constitutes suspicion, but I wanted to do some digging nonetheless. Her story was eye-raising, but I soon found out that Miss Yakley scrutinized most of her neighbors. I had knocked on some doors and spoke to people about her shortly after the phone call and the interview. The consensus was that she was a nice older lady, but was also nosy and sometimes a bit crabby. Nevertheless, I had two choices. I could either keep surveillance on her neighbor, for no real reason, or speak to him and keep it short. I dwelled on it for a short time, finally deciding to pay him a quick visit. 2701 Southwest Meadowwell was a modest house. Part siding, part brick, basic front yard with a white picket fence, well-kept manicured yard. Everything looked normal. This particular neighborhood had the luxury of some space between the homes too, unlike the greater part of downtown Manhattan where homes were built in close proximity. The spacing on this home was about, I'd say, 30 feet from Miss Yakley's home. I observed the distance between her home and the back bedroom window of this house. She would have had a clear view from her kitchen to see over the privacy fence and to the window. I knocked on the door. A minute went by and there was no answer, so I decided to wait patiently. There was a vehicle parked in the driveway. The air was moist and the day was nice out here, 70 degrees and a bit windy. I took a minute to stop and appreciate the atmosphere of this neighborhood. I began to knock again, but the door swung open, catching me off guard as I zoned out. Patrick Sullivan was about 6'1", slender and muscular. I'd say about 185 pounds. He had a crew cut with dark hair and dark brown eyes, and his face was evenly chiseled. He was an attractive man who appeared to be in his 30s. "Afternoon, sir," I said, extending my hand. "I'm Detective Allen, NYPD. I showed him my ID and badge. He seemed shocked, irritated, and definitely withdrawn. He did not shake my hand. "Hi, can I help you?" Like me, his voice stuck out like a sore thumb. He spoke with a southern accent. "Well, I sure hope so. Hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions in regards to a murder that occurred a few days ago. Mind if I come in?" The house is a mess," he said, standing in the doorway. "I'd rather just talk here. I'm not sure how I'm going to help you anyways." Okay, that's perfectly fine. I won't take up too much of your time." I crossed my arms and began to ask questions. "Did you happen to hear anything 2 nights ago that may have stuck out as unusual in the neighborhood? This would have been last Tuesday. He appeared perplexed. He stepped outside now, closing the door behind him. I looked down. He was wearing boots that appeared to be tactical, and they were rugged. "No, not that I know of. I work a lot and sleep. I don't have time for much else." I nodded. "What's your name?" I asked. "Patrick Sullivan." "Well, Mr. Sullivan, we have a serial killer on the loose who seems to be targeting random people in this very area. I'm assuming you've heard about that by now?" He shrugged. "Like I said, I don't get out much, and I don't watch the news." I nodded with a sarcastic expression. You work a lot. Right. Well, I find it unbelievable how somebody who works with others in a highly populated area has not heard wind of the recent deaths. It's pretty hard to avoid, actually, especially here in New York." "Anything else I can help you with, officer?" he asked. He was definitely not in any mood to continue this conversation. "Detective, Mr. Sullivan," I corrected. "Detective Allen. And no, not at the moment, I suppose, but there's a chance I'll be back, and I'll be watching the neighborhood." He nodded. I finally detected a sense of nervousness from this man. "I'll be here," he said. Before I walked off, I asked him, "Where'd you get them boots at?" "Marine Corps, Field Artillery." I nodded thoughtfully. "Thank you." As I walked away, I felt perspiration under my arms and on my forehead. It wasn't the coincidences that gave me the willies about this guy. It was him in general. There was something about him that I had never felt while interviewing another person, and to this day I still can't explain it. The man was charming, awkward, and creepy as hell all at the same time. I knew that when I had walked away from that porch, I had walked away from a very unique individual, and to what extents I had no clue, but I wanted to find out more. The following is a narration from a third-person point of view as it happens. As the police car pulled out of the driveway, Patrick Sullivan closed the blinds that he had been looking through. He did not come out of the house again for another 23 hours.